Henry Ford, genius, copycat, or asshat? Welcome to WordPress Vidcast, a daily video podcast featuring WordPress tutorials, theme reviews, plugin reviews, techniques, tactics, tips, and tricks so you can build a niche site, build your small business website, build your brand hub, or build your first website without freaking out. You can build a website with WordPress, and I can show you how. The WordPress Vidcast. Use the hell out of WordPress. Welcome to episode 18 of the WordPress Vidcast. I'm your host, Josh Robbs, helping you use the hell out of WordPress. Today we're going to talk about Henry Ford. A lot of people think he's brilliant. Is he a copycat? Is he an asshat? Is he a genius? What do you think? Maybe he's a multifaceted individual like us, brilliant, has good days, has bad days, isn't perfect, but he did make a bunch of money, so he had to know something. So I'm going to go through copycat, genius, and asshat aspects of Henry Ford. First, copycat. Let's do copycat first. I like copycat. So Henry Ford gets credit for the assembly line, the automobile assembly line. People get a track. They have one job. This piece comes down and they do their job. The next piece comes down and they do their job. The next piece comes down and they do their job. There's some other bells and whistles to make the assembly line really cool, but he didn't invent it. He didn't invent the automobile. Someone else invented the car. The meat packing plants in Chicago have been using the assembly line for a while. They would hook up the giant cow and it'd hang on a track and it'd slide down, and one person would do one thing, it'd slide to the next spot, so on and so forth. All he did was combine it. He took two existing things. He took peanut butter and jelly and brought them together and made a bunch of money off of it. There's a mental exercise called scamper. Or I guess it's actually a mnemonic for you to remember all of the different things you can do when you're dealing with two separate things. Now it's scamper. SCAMPER. Substitute, combine, adapt, magnify or modify, put to other use, eliminate, rearrange, reverse, or reword. So substitute. Peanut butter and jelly. I've seen people have peanut butter and cheese. That's how some recipes start. They start substituting one thing for another. Combine. Obviously, that's a great example. Henry Ford's automobile assembly line is a great example of that. Adapt. Modify. Little tweaks. Put to other purposes. Drugs. I think drugs are a great example of this. The legal drugs prescribed by pharmacists. Wellbutrin is an antidepressant, but used properly, you can use it to stop smoking, even though a smoker is not necessarily depressed. Eliminate. Sometimes someone will create something that's giant, and you can take that big idea and just take this part of it. You can eliminate all the extra stuff and just pack it just a little bit for the person who wants this little bit. How long have people been selling cows? Probably for a long time. But look at a steak. A steak is you've eliminated the rest of the cow and you have just this precious piece of meat. And some of those pieces of meat, depending on the cow, are really expensive. And another idea for eliminate, another example. Look at the iPod. They took the Walkman and eliminated the removable media. So now the removable media is attached, it's internal, and you edit it in place instead of pulling out your mixtape and putting in your mixtape. And if you don't understand what that is, I'm sure if you Google it, you youngins can figure out what a mixtape is. And then reverse, rearrange, and reword. A lot of teaching is just rewording. People get paid to teach things that have been taught forever. And all they do is they take this, they put it in their own words, and sometimes it's your words, your unique explanation that lets that person understand a topic that no one else has been able to teach them. Not rocket science. And so that's scamper. And that's all Henry Ford did. That's all a lot of people do. Sticking with Macs, Gates, Bill Gates and Steve Jobs didn't invent the computer. They took it and they modified it. They twisted it. They tweaked it. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. But now look at Bill Gates and look where Steve Jobs was before he died. Incredible. By just doing these little tricks to modify, adapt, and upgrade ideas. Now, the next part, Henry Ford was a genius. Henry Ford was a genius because he didn't waste anything. So back in the day, cars were made out of wood. Screw that. So they had to cut things and drill holes and things, so there's sawdust everywhere. And if you weren't thinking, you might just throw it away. That's just trash. That's a byproduct. That's waste. But Henry Ford had seen another process, and he used Scamper again, and he combined their idea with his product, or his byproduct, and he made his own company to do it. That's why he was a genius. He didn't just sell it to him. He made his own company and took all the sawdust, and you put it under pressure, and you heat it, and you do some other magic to it, and it turns into charcoal briquettes. The Ford Charcoal Company is now Kingsford. Kingsford's the #1 manufacturer of charcoal briquettes in the United States. And that's just from a byproduct. Look at 37 Signals. 37 Signals did web design. That's what they were originally, a web design company. And then they made some products to use internally, and they were so good, and they were their byproducts. They weren't intended for sale. They were so good they started selling them to their customers. And they started selling them to everyone. And they quit doing web design because the byproduct became the main product. And then they took their notes that they had used for all their processes and made a book out of it. So they actually are selling the byproduct of a byproduct. How's that for awesome? That's genius. Don't always agree with what they're doing. I really think they need to get off their ass and fix backpacking and create some real apps for these things, but that's just me. Anyway, now, Henry Ford, the asshat. And here is his biggest, silliest thing to do, to say. I mean, this is something you can never get away with these days. And the way things are today, it's the exact opposite. And honestly, I think the only reason why he got away with this, and I'm about to tell you what it is, the only reason why he got away with it is because he had a monopoly. He was the first one there. You know, he had the cars going on the assembly line and was mass producing them. And that's the only reason why he was able to say any customer can have a car painted any color he wants so long as it is black. So you can do whatever you want as long as you're doing what I want. Not going to fly these days. I mean, hell, we're just talking about the iPod. How many colors does the iPod come in? And how does that affect music quality? 0, not at all. But do you still have that customization? You can get cases for your iPhone that's 1,000 different colors, 1,000 different styles for a phone. So, thinking about what he said, any customer can have any car painted any color he wants so long as it is black. If you, knowing what you know now, obviously it's cheating, but you get in a time machine and you go back in time, what do you need to take with you to make money? Do you need a Porsche engine? Do you need a new fancy suspension from Jeep? What do you need? All you need is paint. You could go back. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just paint it red, paint it yellow, paint it blue. Give people options. So just remember that. That's called soft innovation. I heard about it through one of the books over here. I don't remember which one. It's probably Seth Godin. Soft innovation. You don't need to create something brand new. You don't need to recreate the wheel. Just modify it. Give it a leather seat instead of a plastic seat. You know, make it higher quality, make it lower quality. You know, whichever way you want to modify it. But just remember Scamper. Substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to other use, eliminate, reverse, rearrange, reword. Remember, use your byproduct. My knowledge of WordPress is a byproduct from all the websites I've built. I didn't go, hey, I want to learn WordPress. No, it just happened. And last but not least, remember, soft innovation. Do degrees of change. 1, 2, 5, 10 degrees of change. Don't do a 360 or a 180 degree turn things around change. It's too much work. You don't need to do it. You can get away with soft innovation. Till next time, folks, remember the best way to learn is to build it, break it, and then build it better. Good night.